This is a cool opportunity to talk about something that we probably don't think about enough. We just go, well, it's the modern world. Some people can't make it to a polling place. We got to have some amount of voting by mail. And then people talk about, hey, let's just vote on the internet. Oh, Lord, no. As you know, I'm an enormous fan of people actually going to polling places and voting under the watchful eyes of election judges. But, there's some, in Texas, eligible individuals aged 65 years or older, disabled, or out of the country during the voting period, those are the absentees, can apply to vote by mail. It is a complete magnet for voter fraud. What can we do about that? Out of North Richland Hills, Senator Kelly Hancock joins us. Hey, Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing this?
Absolutely great. There was the Senate Bill 5 designed to address this. What happened to it?
Well, we actually passed the Senate bill. It passed the Senate on July 26th. It then passed the House on August 10th, so it took a little while to get there. And then only took the governor 24 hours before he signed it on August 11th. So then we'll see it come into effect December 1st.
And what will it change?
Well, a couple of things it's going to do, Mark. I mean, it's very interesting. We heard a lot of talk from both sides of the aisle about, voter fraud and all this, but when it came to trying to fix it, it was pretty limited, the help that we got down during the legislative session. So one of the first things that we always heard was, well, show us where it's taking place. And so one of the things that this legislation does is it does require those issues to be reported from local entities to the Secretary of State so we can start tracking where this is occurring. You have Democrats saying, well, just show us because there's no record. Well, there wasn't, and this will allow that to start happening. It will increase penalties. The reality is very few would actually pursue anything because the penalties associated with voter fraud, specifically mail-in ballots, were limited. So if you're a repeat offender, then the penalties will escalate. And then there wasn't a lot of clarification when it came to the signature verification. In fact, you could use someone's signature to prove that it matched the other signature, but you could not use a Mark Davis's signature to prove somebody else forged Mark Davis's signature.
Oh,
so you
tremendous.
could prove that it does. You couldn't use it to prove that it does not.
Well, this is the kind of nonsense that got us about 700 mail-in ballots in Dallas County's municipal election in May, and then the runoff that was in June, I guess. And those were immediately sequestered by the district attorney's office due to suspicions of fraud. So this has got to be just tip of the iceberg.
Well, it is, and so we knew we couldn't address everything, all facets of it, but with the help of folks, like Aaron Harris, who did a lot of work up in North Texas, and what was happening both in Dallas and then in Tarrant County, literally people were signing iPads, right, where your signature doesn't look anything like your signature.
Of course.
And they were using that to actually register voters. And so we knew specific cases. Governor Abbott added this to the special session call. He immediately asked for Representative Goldman and myself to come in, and we began working on this diligently. We, talked to local officials, found out what the cases were, and so while this doesn't address everything, it is a large piece of what's taking place, and really protects the most vulnerable of us, the senior citizens and those disabled that aren't able to make it to the polling places.
State Senator Kelly Hancock with us. Let me take a 30,000-foot view. I totally understand there are some people who cannot get to a polling place. Can't. But do we make are the mail-in standards right? Because isn't it possible if somebody is of a certain age or some level of disability, if they can actually be driven to a polling place, doesn't the law provide for election judge to come out and allow the voting to happen right there at the polling place so that we're not throwing all these ballots into the mail, which is a cesspool for fraud?
It's true, Mark. As we've made it easier and easier for people to actually mail in their ballot, then we have seen the number of cases with mail-in ballot voter fraud increase. And, I don't know of anything that is more foundational to our liberty and to our government than the right to vote. And, for me personally, I look forward to walking up and casting that vote and taking that time. And I think it's very important. And so we do make it, in my opinion, a little too easy to take the easy way out.
Yeah, I mean, voting is a thing. It's a responsibility. It asks something of you. That's what makes it special. I've always hated early voting. That's a talk show I'll do at some later time. But as soon as someone steps forward and says, look, maybe all this willy-nilly mail-in balloting is not right. They'll go, you're trying to make it hard to vote. You don't want fill in the blanks, women, blacks, Martians. You don't want these people to vote. You're suppressing the vote. So it's a hard argument to make.
Well, it is, and the thing that they'll throw out there as well is, the disabled and the elderly. You're attacking the elderly, and then they'll go to the military, right? Because we do have those, and we have made provisions so that if you're overseas, if you're serving our country, your vote should count. You should have that opportunity. But as soon as you go after this issue, you will hear every scare tactic in the book about how you're against the elderly, you're against the disabled, you're against our military. And obviously that's just not the case.
I remember when you were first elected. Help me remember what year that was.
Well, I served in the House so I was elected in 2007 in the House, and then in 2012 in the Senate.
Right. It seemed like roughly a decade of you going to Austin. And let's wrap up with this. I'm going to ask every single human being I have with any even remote flirtation with any level of government, how do you feel about the sandblasters that are coming to purge every shred of the Confederacy from every facade in Austin? The mob is in full throat. The purge is on. What do you want to do about it?
Well, Mark, and let me go before we go. I want to commend you on last night, and commend you on not just surrounding yourself last night in a great event and your anniversary and surrounding yourself with good people, but you surrounded yourself with nice, good people last night.
Thank you.
And there is a difference. And so you're one of those, and Alan West and Mike Gallagher, obviously some of the nice people that as elected officials we get to associate with. This issue of the Confederate, and really not, forget Confederate, it's just our history. I'm involved in a Bible study literally that is involved in people from around the world, Madagascar, Japan, Africa, and we're studying the book of Romans. Well, do we just throw out this history that we can learn so much from? And I understand it has to be balanced and it needs to be factual and it needs to be accurate, but history is important to us.
Yeah. There are lessons to be learned from every corner. We are free to feel about various chapters however we wish, but the attempt to silence and purge the portions that people find people that are like kryptonite to some folks it simply must be pushed back against. So, Kelly, thank you for that and all the voter issues and stuff, and thanks for a great contact during the session. Much appreciate you.
Mark, appreciate all you do.
You bet. God bless. Kelly Hancock, District 9, North Richland Hills, and the kind of northeastern Tarrant County district of his. 917.